Come on, man. Get it together.
Warm up.
All right.
Welcome back on set.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to all but 7.
Hey!
More people will wander in. You know how that works.
It's probably because it's just hard to find over here.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And it's
early.
cold, and they're like, that's cold. It's like a meat locker over there.
People were still like hungover from last night.
A lot of people came in, they're like, where is it? I was like, I have no idea. So I mean, there's probably 10 or 50 people asked me already.
Yeah, so they'll
So
find. They're going to be
they'll be
angry.
over when we.
They always do.
Hey, welcome. We're done.
The wrong way to go.
That was
All
the
right.
chair, not me.
So,
Again,
first
again
thing-
with that?
Sure it is. Did we go to the Tesla?
Yeah. That was so much fun.
Apparently last night they were in a Tesla where the seats made fart noises.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know Teslas have like a fart machine in them. You can designate word farts and stuff.
It's true, there was a video and everything.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We have. I think the driver was just having. I was afraid he was going to wreck the car because he was laughing too much. You know, like ah. It's like, I'm gonna be 9 years old still laughing at farts.
All right, David.
Again,
Let's
that was the chair, not me.
Sure. Let's start with you, David. Let's go back to the beginning of everything.
I was born a poor black child. It's one of my favorite movies.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
For those who don't know, it's The Jerk.
Yes.
Steve Martin's best.
Yes, for sure. Let's talk about your acting journey. How did you get involved in this craft that you are so good at?
Stop it. I was, oddly enough, did church theater starting out. My parents used to do a lot of that, so like my mom always directed the shows, my dad was in a lot of them, and so that kind of got me in, and I was in the church choir. So yeah, I was doing shows about Jesus. Like, yeah, now I'm in the theater doing these type of movies. But yeah, I did that, and then in middle school, I was really shy and quiet and all that, and I got bullied a lot. My mom was like, you know, why have your classmates seen this other side of you, your silly side? No. She's like, well, you should let them see that. And she's like, well, your school's doing a production of Mickey's Christmas Carol, and you do such a really good Mickey Mouse, so why don't you audition for the role of Mickey / Bob Cratchit in it? And I'm like, okay, cool. And I did, got the role, and we're doing the show in front of the whole, like, you know, all the parents and everything one night, and everything started going wrong on stage. Like the set fell down on top of Scrooge, and I was like, oh, Mr. Scrooge, I think we have rats. And another part, like the table during the Cratchit family scene broke, and it shot my little chicken over the audience. And I'm like, oh, I guess we're having fast food tonight, folks. And I just started improvising, and everybody laughing. And I was like, oh my God, I love this feeling. Because like first time at school, people were laughing with me instead of acting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like this, I want to do more of this. And so my mom really got me into doing like community theater. And so I did that for years and learned from my betters, I would say. I never had like formal training in acting. I just learned by doing it on stage. And oh, now we have sound.
Thanks.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Scott. You're my
Too
hero.
loud, you alright?
Thank you, Scott.
I'm getting some feedback. I'll be moving up front. No feedback.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
So yeah, so I just continued doing that, and then when I went to college, I was trying to be practical and pragmatic with my life, and I'm like, okay, as much as I want to be an actor, I know it's not the most stable career path, especially financially. And I'm like, I want to be able to support a family and all that. So I'm like, okay, well, I come from family teachers. I'm great with kids and all that good stuff. And so I was like, I'll go into be an elementary school teacher. So I studied to become an elementary school teacher in college, got my degree in it. And one of my last years in college, my mom passed away from cancer, and that kind of changed my whole perspective on life. I was like, yeah, my mom's last words of wisdom to me were, do what you want to do with your life and not what you think you have to do. Like, you only get one shot at all this, so live life to the fullest and don't look for regrets. And it's sunk in that next year when I was doing my internship in the schools, and because I went through a lot of stuff. It was like a year after my mom died, and that month I went back. My dog died, my grandmother died, one of my friends committed suicide, and my sister married a homeless man who is now in jail for molesting little girls. So that's fun. And all that happened like 1 month time period, and my brain was going, I was very depressed, and I had an epiphany one day reading stories to my students, and I was doing all the silly voices for all the characters. And they're like, no, let's go and do another story, I'm like, no, guys, we gotta go into math. I know, and they're like, oh, no. And it hit me, I'm like, yeah, I get more fulfillment out of entertaining my students than teaching them. I'm like, this is what I really need to do with my life. This is what brings me, joy, is entertaining people. And I talked to my dad that night, had a big speech prepared because I know he's a NASA engineer, he's a very practical man. And he's like, oh, your mom and I always thought you should be an actor. We just didn't want to tell you what to do with your life. So why don't you just take a year off, get your head back in the game, and then finish up your degree, and then go and do what you want to do. I was like, what? I was expecting the whole opposite of this, He's like, no, we just want you to do what makes you happy. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. I had a whole rousing speech prepared and everything, but yay.
To change your mind, right?
Yeah. But it worked out, and it took me, several years. I moved up to New York and did a lot of shows here or there, toured with How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical, for 5 years. Actually came through here in Houston back in 2010 with the show. Eventually Terrifier came along and changed my life.
Now, Rick, you're not an actor.
I am an actor. I got snubbed from the Academy Awards. Can I say this? Actually, it's funny. When the Academy Awards came out, I took like Best Supporting Actor, and I made these sheets out, and I did the exact font with my name under it, and I legitimately was signing them, just giving them out to people, and so many people were like, oh my God, you got nominated for Academy Award. I'm like, it was a small part, but I put my heart and soul in it. But I am now. I first started, as a director. I did short films and stuff. So, I always would put myself like little cameos in my movies and stuff. So that's how I led into Terrifier. And now, no one knows this. David doesn't even know this, but I get gigs. Like, so many people hit me up for gigs. Most of them are probably not paying gigs, but I just don't have the time because, nobody knows I make custom hockey masks for a living, and that's what I do. So, but I am going to be in it's a Halloween fan film, which is that they have a lot of money behind it. It comes out on Halloween. And unfortunately, everybody wants me for movies, but they want me for Selfie guy.
Yeah.
So I did it one time, and I told Damien, I said I'm doing it one time. This is a whole Terrifier thing, but I do have the fuck yeah girl in the other movie too. But it's pretty fun. It's more of a fuck yeah. Yeah. But actually, the scene's really cool. So I'm with my beautiful wife, and we have a little kid, and everybody's trick or treating, and randomly there's an Art the Clown cosplayer walks over. And me and her go over excited to get the picture with Art, and as we turn around we see our kid standing there, and I walked over to grab him, and it's Michael Myers just like staring down at the kid, and we're like, oh, cool cosplay. So it's a pretty cool scene. So
Fuck no.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in acting arts? Like, what was it a grade school thing that you really loved?
You're like,
fuck yeah.
The Selfie guy legend moved on. So.
Oh my God. And can we talk about your business, your 13X Studios? Sure. How did that come about for you, darling?
Just one day, it was after Halloween 7 years ago, and big, huge Halloween fan, and I told my wife out of the blue, I said, I'm gonna start making custom hockey masks. And she's like, okay. And my goal, I said, if I could sell a dozen in the next 3 months, I'm on to something. And I sold 100. And then at the end of the year, I said my goal for the first year, I said my goal was to sell 100 masks, and I think I was at 3,000. And then how my life completely changed was I did a Jay and Silent Bob mask, and someone took a picture of it and sent it to Kevin Smith, and Kevin's brother called me the next day and said, we got an exclusive deal for you if you're down. So I've been in business with Kevin for 6 years. So it's I make Jay and Silent Bob masks, and actually I'm going to see Kevin and Jay next weekend at Spookala, Florida. So I'm looking forward. So yeah.
It's amazing, man. Living your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Do we have any audience questions at the moment?
Was there any, like, did you study any mimes or clowns to bring the character to life?
No, I really. I think I tore my rotator cuff. I'm not joking. I tore my rotator cuff. Everyone's mocking me. I think it's because I do so many selfies. I'm like, I can't. I'm not joking. I can't even put my shirt on at times.
That's a sports injury right there.
It wasn't. It should have been this arm, you know. But that's a joke. It's a masturbating joke. It's a joke.
No, that's just the hairy one. Uh-oh. But no, I was never actually professionally trained in mime or anything. I know that's a rumor that's out there. I'm like, no. I have more respect for myself. No, I'm kidding. Oh, shots fired to the miming community. Oh, you know, you will never hear him anyway. So. If a tree fell on a mime in a forest, would anybody care? I'm kidding. But but I learned from like watching like the great silent comedians. I was given a great education in, you know, physical comedy growing up. I was watching the old black and white, you know, comedies like Marx Brothers, Laurel and Hardy, Chaplin, Buster Keaton, all that. But my aunt, when I was a teenager, she gifted me a box set of Mr. Bean videos. And I was like, this is amazing. And I would just watch those over and over and over. I'm surprised I didn't wear the tapes out. Because I just found that like that brand of comedy to be so fascinating. It's that very silent, mischievous type of character. And I always wanted to play a character like that. And you know, so I just studied him a lot, studied Jim Carrey a lot, Andy Serkis, Doug Jones, all those guys. I just, you know, just sit there and just devour that kind of stuff. I remember like when like Two Towers came out on like DVD, they had like the behind the scenes stuff, and they had a whole featurette about Andy Serkis doing Gollum and all his movements there. So I would sit there and mimic him all over my house. I would just be jumping on furniture, just bounding around like Gollum. What is wrong with you? Maybe you should go back into teaching. And that's why I just learned and like tried to adapt, you know, what I was watching. And you know, that's why I was like, when this audition for Terrifier came up, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. Because I had seen All Hallows Eve, so I knew the character. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh my God, he's kind of like an evil Mr. Bean. I would love to have a chance to play a character like that. And now I do. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep.
But no mimes.
Anyone else out there?
Actually, I would like to throw this one story about David. This is, it's been on my mind all morning, and I definitely want to share it. It's my David story. Absolutely fantastic. So, as he said, you know, he lost his mom. I lost my dad 2 years ago. Still, this morning I was crying. It's the worst thing in the world to have a death. And I want to say about a year ago, how my life changed with David is I was having a really bad day. I hate seeing my mom sad. That's what kills me. So I was having a really, really bad day and just crying, sad. It's hitting me every day. And then out of the blue, something happened online that I saw, and it hit me. And later on, I had tears when my wife walked in the door, and she's like, oh, she knew I was really having a bad day. And she went over and she's like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, you know, your dad's looking down on you. And I said, it's not my dad, it's David. And she said, what is going on? I said, David had a bigger line than fucking Robert Englund at Monster Mania. And I was crying, I was in happy tears. So that's my David story. I think it was Monster Mania. Yeah. His line was fucking bigger than Robert fucking Englund's. And that fucking made my day. And from there on, when I think of sadness, I think of David and his line. And I wiped the tears away. So
that was
love you, brother.
nuts. I was like, what the hell? It's like, that's something I never imagined would ever happen in my life. It's like, to me, Robert Englund's the king. It's like, that's you're not going to surpass Robert Englund. So even just to be even close to that was like, what? This is surreal, and it's all because of you guys. It's just like the response that part 2 especially got was just mind blowing, because we were just supposed to be in like 500 theaters nationwide for like a weekend, and it just kept snowballing like crazy. It was like I remember because it was the first night because the Fuzz guys and Damien and some of us went out on Staten Island. We snuck into one of the theaters there on opening night without people knowing we were there, because we just wanted to actually see a real reaction from an audience. And they went nuts. And then we're like, thank you. And they're like, oh my God. You know? But we went to the bar next to the theater afterwards, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden on Twitter, Damien was on Twitter, and we're just all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. Everybody just starts posting about Terrifier, and we're like, oh shit, I think we did something here, guys. And it was just constant. And also the next week, I wake up one morning, my agent's calling me. She's like, my phone's going off like crazy, and she's like, David, Howard Stern's people just called me, and I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, they want to know if you can go on John Lieberman's show and stuff like that. He's a huge fan. He wants to interview. And I'm like, whoa, yeah. And then it just, you know, like they were talking about us on like The Talk, you know, like Jerry O'Connell and Rebecca Romaine. Like they were going on and on and on about Terrifier, and it because of that, it just kept snowballing. Like then Stephen King tweets about us. Well, like Damien and I were in line at security at JFK when that came out, and I just let out a holy shit, holy fuck, right there in the middle of the airport, and everybody's like, I'm like, sorry, Stephen King. I'm like, that's if you get that kind of like respect from the man that created Pennywise, who's like, you know, like that's the king of the clowns right there. We're like, holy crap, that's amazing to get that kind of recognition from him. It's been a crazy ride this past year. I mean, especially for Damien. He's been like going everywhere, meeting with all these like, you know, big Hollywood hotshot directors and producers and everything like that. It's just like, and I mean, all the studios were approaching us for Terrifier 3. And, you know, that's the thing that Damien really had to consider a lot, because they're like, you know, offering us money for Terrifier 3. And he's like, yeah, it's really tempting, but they want control. They want control of this. And he's like, they will not allow me to do the type of movie. I just know they will not allow me to do the type of movie I want to do. And so he really took, he's like, I can't do that to the fans. He's like, we can't pull back from what we've been doing. This is why we're where we are, is because we're the ones ballsy enough to do what we're doing. And the fans love it, and it's showing it. And I think it's, you know, putting a fire under Hollywood's butt right now. But he's like, no, we gotta stick to our guns. And so we're sticking with the people that help put part 2 out, and because they're giving us money too, but they're giving us the freedom to do the type of movie we want to do. So that's why Damien's not here this weekend. He's finishing up the script, and it's going to be nuts. I know he wants to go much darker with part 3. I haven't read it yet, so I have no idea what he's doing. But I know a few things, and I'm like, oh shoot. Oh. And he just like messaged me just the other night, because I just wrote this really awesome, cool kill scene with some certain people he wants to be in the movie, and he's like, I'm giving you a new toy that you're really gonna have a lot of fun with. And I'm like, oh my god. So I'm excited, as you guys are, just to see what he's concocted. But I will say that if you go see part 2 again at the theaters, we added an extra scene that is going to segue straight into part 3. It's going to give you an idea of where we're going with part 3. And it's, I like to say it's our little early Christmas gift to the fans, even though it's in November. You know, it's like, yeah, it's just a big thank you to guys for supporting us. And it's like, you guys got us where we are, so we wanted to do something extra for you guys, just to give you a little taste of what's to come. So I'm very excited, because then I can finally talk about this one thing we've been keeping a secret from you guys for about a year. So I was like, goody.
So this extra scene, is it going to be in the movie, or is it like a post-credit type?
It's a post-credit.
So stay till the end. You know, don't leave. Stay till the end. Oh my goodness, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm very relieved to hear that we're not going big studio, because of course I knew that he was getting offers and stuff. I said, but they're going to like take the movie, take the gore. It's going to get an X rating, and they won't let him get an X rating, like, you know. And so, yeah, so I'm glad. I'm really relieved to hear that. It's the first I heard, and I was really relieved to hear that.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we're encouraging more, you know, directors and writers out there to keep experimenting and pushing the envelope of the genre, because I think that's what's been lacking in Hollywood is originality. They're all trying. It's the studio system. They're willing to put all that money into a movie, but they don't want to take the risks. So they play it safe and just keep recycling the same thing over and over and over and over and over because it's safe. And horror and comedy, in my opinion, should never be safe. Those are the two genres that should always be pushing the envelopes, experimenting, and seeing where they can go with things. And I think that's what's been wrong with Hollywood in the past decade or so. It's like, you know, it's like, especially with comedies, and it doesn't even know this is a horror convention. I like comedy's my thing, and I feel like we haven't had a good comedy in over a decade in the theaters like we used to, especially back in the 80s. Oh my God, I mean the 80s and 90s, though. Oh my God, the comedies, and they were coming out like boom all the time. And I think like one of the last great comedies we had was either The Hangover or Tropic Thunder or something like that. It's like I miss those type of comedies. And so I'm hoping not just with us with Terrifier, I hope that we're just encouraging people to start taking risks again. I think that might be a good thing because, you know, the SAG strike that's been going on, I got to talk about that because, I mean, I'm a SAG member here. And I think this, you know, luckily for us, most of the movies I've done, we've been able to get interim agreements because we're not under the umbrella of the big studios. And I think because of that, there have been a lot of independent films that have been able to be made recently. And I think this strike is going to be a boon to the independent film industry because next year, when all these, you know, movies from studios haven't been able to be made, there's going to be that dearth in the theaters, in like the AMCs, Cinemarks, all that. They're like, we need films to show. And I think they're going to start reaching out to all these independent filmmakers. And like, well, you got this movie you made, can you put this in the theaters? And so I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen. So I'm hoping we're going to see a new renaissance in film right now. So fingers crossed on that.
What's it like to do an audition without lines?
Interesting. that was a very interesting audition because I am so accustomed to scripts, and I'm a voiceover guy too, so I'm used to, you know, having all that. I have always used the character voice to help me determine who the character is and everything like that too. I walked into, because Terrifier was my first time really auditioning for a real movie, and because I was always just a stage actor, voiceover actor, and I was like, okay, cool. Okay, this is my first big role that I'm going out for in a film. Okay, can't mess this up. And I was like, oh, I never got sides, and so although sometimes they just have sides in the room and stuff like that. So I go in there and I ask the front desk, like, oh no, we don't have sides. I'm like, you should have gotten those from your agent. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna kill my agent. And because everybody else in the room's got sides.
Agent's like, there are no sides for you.
Yeah, and they call me in the room, and I'm so nervous. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I never got any sides. If I can just get some, I'll just take 5 minutes to look over them real quick, and I'll be ready to go. And like Damien's like, oh no, don't worry about it. Art doesn't speak, you don't need sides. So I was like, okay, cool. So what do you want me to do then for this audition, you know? And he's like, just come up with a scene where you decapitate a guy and you're happy about doing it, and go. I'm like, well, can I have a few seconds to think about it? He's like, no, I just want to see what you can do on your feet. I'm like, okay, cool. And this is why I always say it's important for every actor to have some kind of training or experience with improvisation, because you never know. Because I've even had this happen with me in the room with voiceover auditions, where they just throw a character at me at the last second, like, hey, do a voice for a tree, go. And this is what happened, and I'm like, okay, and I turned off my brain and let whatever happened happen. You can find the audition online. But I did this whole thing where I kind of cartoonishly snuck up behind my victim and like knocked him out, and like sawed off his head with a hacksaw, picked it up, tasted it, didn't like the taste of the blood, so I take a salt shaker and season it some. Okay, this is much better, and kind of bathe in the blood and all that, and give it a thumbs up and skip out my merry way. And at that point, like Damien and our producer Phil have got their heads on the table laughing their butts off, and they're like, I'm like, anything else you guys need? And they're like, Jesus. Can you come in for a makeup test? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'd be happy to. He's like, are you okay with makeup? I'm like, yeah, I've played a lot of weird characters in the past where I've had to wear a lot of makeup, so I'm kind of used to that process. I'm like, okay, cool. And I kind of left there that day thinking, okay, I've got this. And that's a very unusual thing to have happen in this in the film industry. You usually have to go back for multiple auditions. I know Lauren and Elliot had to go back like 4 or 5 times to read with different people to see, how they synced up with everybody. And this was I walked out of that room knowing I had the part basically. But I didn't know officially until like a few months later when they finally brought me in for the makeup test. And I had a kind of a final audition with that. They're like, okay, here's your final audition. This is gonna make us know that you're definitely right for the part. We just ordered pizza. Here comes the pizza guy. Answered the door is Art.
A legitimate pizza guy?
Yes. And it's the middle of the daytime in Staten Island, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fun. And I just open the door, and I'm just like, and I just go, with the money. And this guy just like, oh, hell no. No. No, sir. What the fuck is this? And I'm just like, he just hands me, he's like, okay, what is going on? And I'm just like, and I just slammed the door right in his face. They're like, you got the role. And then I also went outside, just walking around. It was like a house that Phil had out there that he was renovating. And so the neighbors were out there, the kids were playing in the yard. They see me walk outside, and they're like, ah! I think the one mom got really pissed off at Phil. Like, what the fuck are you doing? What is this? Are you trying to scam my kids? I was like, this is great. I was like, we were on to something. That's like, I think one of those times where we really knew we were on to something, where the way I looked in just broad daylight in suburbia was enough to really freak people out like that. So I was like, okay, we got something here.
So Rick, I would think, yes, now that you are Mr. Famous, you must have a lot of selfie guy haters. Is that true?
So, yeah, I didn't know where I wanted to go with this. I kind of told her a story the other day, and I was like, I don't know if I should talk about it, but...
He didn't tell me the story. He said he had a story.
It just
I know
goes
nothing.
on. I think it's going to be it's just too rough. But no, it's all good. It's all good. No. Listen, but this is what it's regarding a pre-Terrifier hater about a Kevin Smith mask I made. It's really not. It's very funny, but it's kind of dirty. But I know it's real. I mean, is anybody so?
Everyone here has seen Terrifier, right?
I mean, could I say bang?
Sorry.
Would you rather have me say bang or fuck? Does it matter? No. Is anybody gonna get offended?
Fuck.
All right.
Yeah.
So real quick, I made a Kevin Smith. Wow, that's a sign from God. I made a Kevin Smith mask. Kevin Smith posted online and said like, "Hey, buy the Silent Bob mask." And one of the comments, someone wrote, they put, "This is dumb," and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna respond to that. Whatever, it is what it is. So like later that night, after probably 15 tequila shots, I wrote the person a message, and I said, I just am curious, why do you think the Silent Bob mess is dumb? And he wrote right back to me and he said, because it's dumb. And I said, but why is it dumb? And he said, because it's dumb.
Oh my
and
God.
I said, well, guess what? And he said, what? We were going back and forth. And I said, well, I fucked your mother. So he wrote back and he said, no, you didn't. And I said, bro, I fucked your mother. So then he wrote back again, he goes, no, you didn't. It went on like this. And I'm reading this out loud. My wife is dying laughing. So I just said, I said, you know, so he comes back at me, he said, dude, you did not fuck my mother. And I said, no, I fucked your mother. And he said, my mother's happily married to my father. And I said, well, when he leaves, I sneak over there and fuck her. So then he came back and he said, no, you don't, no, you didn't, I know you didn't. And I said, dude, I fucked your mother. And this went on for 45 minutes. So finally, I think he gave up and he started putting sad emojis. And I'm like, oh man, this poor guy really thinks I fucked his mother. So I said, I had no idea who he was. I clicked on his page and it was a fucking 10-year-old kid. Oh. So now I'm like, oh no. So I wrote him and I said, hey man, I didn't fuck your mother. And then he wrote back and he said, good, I feel a lot better. And then he put ... and then he said, your mask is still dumb. And I said, well, guess what? I'm lying. I really fucked your mother. So that was my story. But now my other real quick one. Now what I do with hate, I don't have a lot of haters. People mostly like me, but there's this just what I do, and this is the best way. Like it really gets them. Like someone wrote like, why a selfie guy there? You know, blah 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 blah. And I write back and I say, yeah, fuck selfie guy, fuck that guy.
Yes.
So that guy probably got a notification on his phone saying, oh, I want to battle selfie guy, and then he's like, wait a minute, he said fuck himself. So that's how I do it. So anyway, that's my excitement. I was going to use that. I was going to use that at the Academy Awards speech. I was going to do the fuck your mother's, you know.
It's like reaching out to the little boy over there. Hey.
So now that little kid probably is like, damn, mom, she is cheating on dad.
Your Academy Awards dumb.
So anyway, that was my excitement. Could I just share one other funny thing? So 1 year ago, I was in Austin for the for the premiere of Terrifier 2. David was at the first one. I went to the second one. So 1 year from, I think, today. And I was telling Damien that, like, my whole thing, I said I was going to shoot a little documentary called Selfie King. And it was going to, a whole bunch of celebrities were going to be just, it's Selfie Guy wants to make it in Hollywood. It's on YouTube. It's fantastic. But then Damien's like, go with the documentary. I think it'll be pretty cool. So anyway, and David, David's the best. He's in the end of it. And it's like, he's like, I can't believe you did a movie and I wasn't in it, you know, fuck you. It was great. And he steals it. And then Billy Pond did another one. These guys they're crazy. Everyone likes Billy Pond out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the Selfie King movie?
Anybody
on YouTube?
watch it? Nobody watch it?
Oh, you gotta go.
It's really fun. It's really funny. So just go to YouTube.
It's like 45 minutes.
It's
super
really funny.
cute.
It's 45 minutes of him jerking off to himself really bad.
So
Hey, you guys got to give me props, man. Listen, I went in the movie. Damien just said, hey, do you want to be in the movie? I said, yes. Then he said, I want to be in a Halloween scene. No idea what was going on. And then I was like, make the best of it. So I got permission from Kevin Smith to do the movies. And then look where I'm at. I'm sitting with fucking David right now. Like, gotta give me props, man. I mean, I unfortunately started, like, you know, I opened the floodgates for others, you know. But I will say this thing, this is about David, and everybody knows, I want David to do his thing. But one thing I do want to say is that, like, you know, I have my business, that's how I make my money. But I used to charge $10 for autographs, and I said, it's kind of my ode to Sid Haig, because that's what he charged. And in Atlanta, at Atlanta Days of the Dead, I signed 245 items. And in Indy, I signed 165 items for $10 each. So it was extra money in my pocket. I say it's beer money. But I was going to Mad Monster a couple weeks ago, and I started thinking, like, what Terrifier fans mean to me, and the stories, and, you know, it's crazy, you know. And I said, I'm never again going to ever charge anything for autograph or anything. And again, I have my business, so everybody else, they're actors. This is what they get. They do their thing. But so. That's what I'm gonna do. I care so much about everybody, and you guys all, like me, you don't even understand. So I appreciate you guys big time. And just me being a fan, you know, I love everybody from the movie. And they're awesome. I love everyone what they're doing. Ellie, I got that first time I ever met Elliot a couple weeks ago, and I got to spend time with his family. Just beautiful people, and that's, you know, and Lauren was there, and Wesley I met. And, you know, I stay in touch with everybody, and like everybody means the world to me. So thank you guys, truly. That was my Academy Award speech. That would have been good. That would have been good. Not the fuck your mother story. That probably wouldn't have been so good.
You're dumb.
Your speech would be you go up there and just like, you're dumb.
Isn't it funny? I just tell that story and everybody's like, oh, and so many people say this. They're like, this kid is so nice, what a good guy. But then I just do the whole fuck your mother story. So I guess behind the scenes I'm not that nice, but no, I'm just goofing. So
you're a smart ass, and that's why we love you.
You're not nice after 15 tequilas. I mean, you kind of answered it with that pizza story, but was there a point during either of the films that you thought, well, we really have something here, that, not that it's going to become what it has, but we thought, yeah, no, we've really got something special here, other than just another run-of-the-mill horror film?
I think that wasn't really when we were filming, though. It was more like when we did our very first convention at Med Monster in 2018. Like, I was like, Davey and I were just like, okay, we'll see how this goes. We'll hope people like our movie and stuff like that. And we had, oddly enough, he's got the same last name as me, but he got a tattoo of me there at the convention. And I was like, holy crap, wow, someone has got a tattoo of me. That's insane. They want my face on their body for the rest of their life. I'm like, I don't even want my own face on my body for the rest of my life. So I'm like, this is insane. And that's, and then there was someone that was cosplaying as art of that too. Because I used to cosplay as Joker a lot at conventions. So it's like, I know how that is. And it's like, you don't cosplay characters unless you really love them and stuff like that. I was like, wow, this is, I guess we're onto something. This is interesting. Just kept snowballing from there. Now, I mean, I remember there was a time where like Damien and I would try to document every single tattoo that we saw. We were like, show pictures of every tattoo, and it just got to be like way too many tattoos. And oh my god! And everyone is like completely different from each other too. There's some really creative ones out there too. So that's when I think that really started clicking. It's like, oh, this is actually going to go somewhere. People want merchandise. And there was also at that same convention, there was a lot of unlicensed merchandise. I'm like, already? I'm like, this is insane. It's like, this is cool. So yeah.
Could I add in that? I actually texted Amy that and told him this. I swear to you, this. I'm sure you've seen it. 80% of the people here at this convention had a Terrifier shirt on. Mm-hmm. How many Terrifier shirts were out there? Like, it was insane, and it's great. Pretty cool.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed when Terrifier 1 got re-released in theaters recently for that one night. I really enjoyed your little extra tribute to fans at the end, and you had a whole tattoo section of that video.
That was cool.
That was really neat.
That was cool, just re-releasing that, especially the same weekend. Barbenheimer and stuff like that. So, because Damien and I did a guest appearance at one of the theaters in New York City that night, just to welcome people in and thank him. It was so funny because all of a sudden we saw these people walking into the theater all wearing pink, or like, y'all here to see Terrifier? Oh no, we're here to see Barbie. I'm like, we should have kept our mouth shut and let them just sit there and watch it.
They're the ones who need to see Terrifier.
Yeah, exactly. But that was the kind of funny thing to see happen. I was like, this is really cool to just see that re-released. It did pretty well, re-release like that. So I was like, that was pretty nuts.
I'll tell you something. I went to the re-release. I was late to the Terrifier game, y'all. I'm sorry. I was like 4 years late, 3 years late or something, right? I didn't see it until 2018, but I'm late. So my recommendation to my friend Leanne, because there's a scene. You gotta see Terrifier. And so I said, okay, I'm in. And I love the twist at the end. I was like, if you saw that twist coming, you're fucking lying. Anyway, I went to go see it, and I've seen it several times since, obviously. And I went to go see it in the theater, and I picked up on so much more than I did on my DVD or on my streaming device. Like, visually, musically, I heard so many different things. I love orchestrations, and how you guys worked with music, with the scenes, and I was just,
that's all Paul Wiley right there.
Yeah, I heard so much more And I got so much more out of it seeing it on the big screen than I ever have, even on a big TV. So if you guys have the opportunity to see part 1 again in the theater, you got to do it. It was amazing.
It's definitely, both films are definitely films that are made for big screen audiences and stuff like this.
A group environment.
Yeah, that's the type of film you have to see with a big group of people. That's what I thought was so cool about those 2 being released, was hearing those stories of people puking and passing out and all that. I'm like, this is awesome! Because it was real. That was not us. And people were like, oh, this is probably just, fake publicity, just trying to get people. I was like, we don't have a budget for that. Like, no, this is real. And I've had so many people at conventions. It's like, yeah, I worked at a theater and someone puked right there at the exit and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God. Oh no, I'm sorry you had to clean that up.
I think it was Steve Barton. He was involved somehow. Steve's awesome.
The people would send me videos of just how audiences were reacting. And like one of my favorite ones, like we snuck into a different theater in New York one night, and there was a guy just sitting in the row behind me the whole entire movie. He's like, "Oh my God! Ah! Ah!" And I was like, I was dying the whole time. I had to turn around to him after the movie. I was like, dude, you just made my week. This was your reactions. He's like, just thought I was just some random guy. And then the behind the scenes stuff started up, and it was me on the screen. He's like, oh shit, you're him. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Your reactions were exactly what I was wanting this whole entire time. Especially one of my favorite reactions in the whole movie, and I was always waiting for it, was like the scene with the stab to the pecker. Because you would hear every single guy in that theater just go, oh! I'm just waiting for it, and just hear like 3, 2, 1, oh! I'm like, yes! Yes, yes. That's just satisfying.
What were the reactions to the alley scene?
Oh God, people! That was a fun one too.
Yeah.
Because like I remember that guy behind me was like, "Oh my God, she's still alive! Oh my God, how? Oh my God, he's bringing salt in! He's bringing salt! He's a salty bastard!" This guy was hysterical. I was like, he's like, "Oh my, is that bleach? Oh, oh, oh!" I was like, this is bad. This is what I was wanting. This is what I was wanting. And I remember also when we did the screening in Austin for the premiere, Sarah, that plays Barbara in the movie, she had not seen especially since she had not seen the alley kill. And she just, after all that's done with, she just turns to Damien in the middle of the theater and goes, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And of course the audience just loses their minds on that. It's like, especially when it comes from Barb, it was just like, this is great. This is just great. I loved it.
I made the theater laugh when I saw the salty scene because unintentionally I was into it as a friend, forgot I was not at home, and when you come in with the bleach, I'm like, oh, that's just rude.
Yeah.
Everyone, I'm like, oh. Oops.
It was just, that was fun. That was like one of those things where Damien and I were just bouncing ideas off each other. I think he wanted me to do bleach or something. I can't remember what else, but I came up with the whole salt idea. I was like, yeah, because I was like, it was also a nod to my audition.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this would be kind of fun. You literally pour salt in the wound. And it's an idiom out there. It's like, why don't we actually do that?
Yeah.
Like, so let's do that.
You're our new Salt Bae.
Yeah, I did that one. I did so many different takes with the salt. And I was like, that's the thing. Damien lets me play around so much on these sets. So he's got so much bonus footage he could probably release one day, especially with the costume shop scene. I was like a kid in a candy store that night. That was kind of our homage to like Pee-wee's Big Adventure as well. And it was, I went down that whole entire rack of glasses and was doing some different things with each pair of glasses. And I don't know how we got through that night because we were all giggling so much. It was so much fun. I love those kind of scenes where it's like, just play. It's like that scene with the dinner scene with Barbara. He's like, I just want you to bring in mashed potatoes and somehow put them in her face. You come up with the rest. And I just kind of went in there and just came up a whole routine of serving dinner to him and doing all this kind of stuff. And he's just like, that's great. But the apron, I did not know I was going to be wearing an apron for that. And Olga, our costumer, she brings out this apron with cats all over it. I'm like, oh my God, this is perfection. I'm like, this is my Miss Doubtfire moment of the movie. So I had so much fun. That was fun. Hello! I was like, oh, they can never stop me that night. I was like, oh my dear, you've got to quit this excessive waiting dating.
It's so crazy how the glasses thing took off too.
Oh, I know.
Oh my god. And thank you, by the way, you guys can go to my booth. I have Art the Clown masks with the glasses on. It's
I think those people that made those glasses are probably so happy now. Like, you guys have like kept us afloat. But I personally like the hand glasses. I think those are funnier.
Those are my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I want the hand ones.
I think they're funnier, but they're also an homage to the first film when I'm doing the whole freezing thing there with the blood all over my hand. So I was like, oh, this is great. Yeah. I also had a whoopee cushion in it, but that didn't make it in there. I was doing a little fart sound with the whoopee.
I also made a mask you were going to use. Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah. I was gonna. Dave was like, no, we don't have time. And I was gonna like the trick or treating scene. I was gonna do a whole thing where I was wearing the Art the Clown hockey mask over my actual face, and I was gonna put my knees in my shoes so I looked like a kid that was trick or treating. But he's like, oh, we don't have time.
It could have been in the special features.
I know, but you know, Damien.
The special features one, the new one that's coming out, oh my god, October 10th. They went around for Days of the Dead Atlanta and they were doing videos with everybody, and they were like, one of the questions they said to me, they're like, you know, how do you feel about the fans? And I was like, oh no. Legitimately tears, and I'm like, oh, that'll probably never make a thing. And then one of my homies said, hey, by the way, all your scenes are in the special features coming out October 10th. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get ripped apart for this one, I'm telling you.
I have to say it was fun because we had a lot of fans that were involved in the filming of the movie. I mean, like, first of all, you're seeing the Halloween party scene. We had a lot of fans and extras there that night. That was like 3 nights y'all filmed that? 4 or 5, yeah. It was a long week. I came one night because I just wanted to hang out with all the fans and everything like that.
And by the way, I'm going to throw in, David hit me up and he said, hey, I'm going to see you Tuesday at the club. And right away I'm like, oh my God, Art's going to kill everybody in the club. So I'm just so excited. And then he's like, no, I'm just going to be. He was actually.
Yeah, I had dressed up as a devil. And I'm like way in the background at one little part in the scene. I just wanted to have fun and hang out with everybody. But the other one was when we filmed the Clown Cafe scene. We had a lot of our Indiegogo backers for that one. And that was like the week before everything shut down for COVID. And we didn't know. We were up in bumfuck nowhere, Canajoharie, New York, in the middle of Amish country, which was fun to drive around as art and scaring Amish people. Because they're not expecting that when you drive by in their buggies. They're like, oh my goodness. But we had all all these Indiegogo backers there that week, and it brought a new energy to the set because I think we were all kind of dreading doing that scene because it was so complex. There were so many moving parts, so many stunts that were having, lighting people on fire, people, all that kind of just craziness. I'm like, oh God, this is gonna be so complicated. And that whole week just went so well. We had so much fun. We were just partying every single night after filming, and it was so exciting seeing how excited that the fans were to be on set. That just added a new energy to everything, and it was great. And we had no idea the world was going to go to that mass chaos just a day or two later. It was like almost like our last hurrah before the world changed. I was like, this is crazy, but it was fun. It was fun having the fans there as part of that experience. It was really cool.
And Thomas Rickman, which he was the pilot in Clown Cafe, he actually made these jerseys for all the show the back of it here.
Yeah.
So he made them for everybody.
And he has a shop. Yeah. Online shop
Thomas was so funny too because he was so excited to be there. So when he's getting shot, we had to keep redoing his scene where he's getting shot because he kept smiling the whole. He's like, yeah, dude, you're dying, man. Oh,
love Thomas. He's the best. Yeah. He is the best, and he has some cool shirts out there. I got several. He has a shirt with him all bloodied up. As a pilot, I ordered some shirts from him, a big order, and he's like, I threw an extra one in for you, and it's him. And I'm like, you know what? I'm wearing it to bed.
See what Selfie guy did?
See what Selfie guy did?
The pilot's coming out with shirt styles. Yeah. I opened the floodgates. I did it on the start.
Beautiful. He's all bloodied and stuff. He's like, like that. It's so cute. I was like, oh, this is so great. And he sent me an Art the Clown plushie keychain. So I'm like, I got a keychain.
While Bill Philpott's here, I have to tell this is very funny. So when Terrifier came out, I at the time I live in St. Augustine now, but we did like a little premiere in Orlando. It was opening weekend, and I'm not joking. There was 50 seats in the theater, and I said I'm gonna be out there giving out shit. We sold it out in 24 hours, and the best part, and Bill was there. The movie's going on, and I went up before the movie, and I'm just like hyping it up. We gave like autograph stuff to people. We had some stuff from David. People were so excited. I had a video from Damien saying like, "Hell yeah, Orlando! Have fun at the premiere." And no joke, I was so excited for everybody to see my scene. So as it goes on, everyone just screams, yells. And my part was over, and no one even heard my lines, and I stood up and I was like, "You guys didn't hear the fuck yeah, girl!" Like, that was the best part. So it was pretty funny though.
Well, the funny thing is too, Damien and I joked around. It was like, let's just do this one prank on Rick. Let's not have that one screen we actually edit out his scene.
I would be in the oven.
Just for that one screening, just to fuck with him. It's like, no, he'll probably kill himself.
And what's funny, David said this before on a podcast, I heard it, you were talking shit, and I'm just kidding. Legitimately, again, I've been in the business for 7 years with my mask, but I got booked at cons before everyone else, other from David and Damien. I was doing cons, and but what it was, I was promoting the word, I was getting it out, and like you said, Kevin Smith knows Terrifier from me, and that got it, and then you guys had that screening. Kevin had a screening of Terrifier, and my mom was in town, it was for the holidays, and I wanted to go so bad, and Kevin even said, "Stay with your mom," and it was like, I wanted to go so bad though, but it was cool that they all got to meet Kevin, so.
I was in LA, so I had to do it.
Oh, that's right.
So I was like the giant floating head.
That's
and
right.
I didn't realize the camera was on me the whole entire time. Because it was like me, Catherine, and Jenna had to do it by Zoom or something like that. So because what we could see on it did not show us on the screen above them, and so we had no idea we were on camera. So Catherine and Jenna and I are just like making faces at each other during the whole thing, just like going, "Oh god, there goes Damien again about his life story." And then at one point we just did a message like, "Everybody can see you." And I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, David was going like that's like falling asleep. And Kevin could talk too, man. That went on for like 2 hours, after. So, but you were for the Grinch for the premiere.
Yeah, I was there in LA for the premiere of the Mean One, which is
Mean
coming
One.
out
Mean
next
One, yeah.
week
Mean One.
on both streaming and DVD.
So excited for my DVD. So excited because I'm about to get my physical media. All right, guys, that's about all the time we have, but I do have one more rapid question for Rick.
Yes.
Can we get a selfie?
Yes. Let's do it.
Everybody, come in the back. If you want to be in, come up front. Let's get in. Let's crowd in.
It's like every dog has come on.
Oh, happy birthday! Come on, guys, come on up if you want to get a picture.
Come to my booth. I'm going to give you something in my booth, okay?
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for that. You forgot. Chucky. Oh, you found Chucky in it? All right. Who wants to move on? Real quick, let's go.
Hurry up, guys. You only have to say
Come on,
let's go.
We forgot Chucky. Are you guys all from Texas too? Mostly everybody?
Yeah.
I'm a Yankees fan too, by the way. There we go. I should say that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys.